Attention, due to the nature of the films discussed, the Civil Gore podcast may contain adult language and themes.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome to episode 108 of the Civil Gore podcast. I'm your host, Tim.
And this is Brian. And we are finishing off the Phantasm series. I kind of feel like, though, we're in the Halloween franchise where it's part 3, but it's 3, 4, and 5, and it really should be part 2 because of travel and, right? You know, we're like all a little off.
Yeah, we're a little off, and I'm coming back from vacation, so I'm a little worn out. I need a vacation from my vacation, as they say, because we were actually walking pretty much from, we were going from 7 in the morning till about midnight every night. I was gone.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
wow.
it was a really brutal schedule, but it was a lot of fun. We'll talk about it some more in our first chop. And full disclaimer, because we're recording late in the week, I'm not going to have a whole lot of time to edit this episode, so what you're getting is pretty raw.
Yes, you're going to get some flubs and flibbles and whatever other kind of euphemism you can for a mistake.
And Tim going, because I don't know how to broadcast for radio. Well, I usually edit that out.
Right, and since you really have no editing time, I think if we make a really big flub, we'll have to use the Amanda bah.
Yeah.
Really, so you can catch that.
Yeah, so if we flub up, we'll just go bah.
Yeah, but we'll leave it in. We'll leave it in
because I won't have time to edit it. So
yeah,
we'll just
Tim
leave
won't
it
even
in.
be able to find the bahs. So yeah.
All right, so let's get right into it, guys. This is our first chop. All right, Brian, I may have been on vacation, but I still had time to continue my 40 Years of Terror project. And this week, it was 1993, and not a whole lot going on in 1993, but there was one sequel that I had not seen, or if I had seen it, it's been so long ago, I didn't remember anything about it. And that was Pumpkinhead II Blood Wings.
I didn't even know there was a Pumpkinhead 2.
There is a Pumpkinhead 2, and let me tell you, it is not as good as Pumpkinhead 1. Which is a movie I really liked. I love Pumpkinhead.
Yeah, the original was good. Original,
fantastic monster movie. This one was not good. This one has a... It tries to give some backstory to Pumpkinhead and how he used to be this boy that was picked on because he was deformed. The whole Victor Crowley kind of situation going on here. And he's eventually tortured and killed by the neighborhood kids, and he returns as the vengeful demon Pumpkinhead. And it was just bad. It's bad all the way through. It's not very entertaining at all. Would not recommend it. But there is one bright shining spot in this movie, and that is Mr. Andrew Robinson, who plays the sheriff / dad / moral compass of the town. And I just love him. He gives 110% to these ridiculous lines and stuff that he has to say in this movie. And I found myself enjoying the movie just to watch his face as he delivered these totally ridiculous lines about this stupid demon. So hats off to Mr. Andrew Robinson. He made Pumpkinhead II Blood Wings slightly more tolerable. I will say the creature effects in this one are really bad. I mean, you could tell it's a rubber suit most of the movie, and there's some sequences where they don't even try to hide it, really. And just very bad effects. There's some old age makeup that's just really, really wonky. Did not enjoy Pumpkinhead II Blood Wings at all, except for Mr. Andrew Robinson. My hat's off to him. And he also played Liberace at one point.
Yeah, well, and he was also Larry in Hellraiser.
That's right. He was Larry in Hellraiser. He's got a lot of horror cred, actually.
Yeah,
look at his IMDb page.
Yeah, so he's doing he was in The Puppet Masters, not Puppet Master, but The Puppet Masters.
And I also watched Pet Sematary finally, the reboot.
The Tobacco.
The Tobacco, which I thought John Lithgow was great. He was
wasn't he? Yeah.
He was great. He was actually better than I expected. But I'll have to say, I really enjoyed it on one level, but it really disturbed me on another level. And I think it might be the dad thing coming in.
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah. That's what I've heard from a lot of people.
Yeah, being the dad of a daughter, it really, really affected me more than I thought it would. When I watched the original Pet Sematary, it was way before I was a dad. And, we talk about how, the scenes with Gage and stuff are hard to watch in the original once you become a parent. And I'll tell you what, this movie, it really kind of disturbed me on a deep level.
Yeah, remember Denise Crosby mentioned that to us, how it was hard after she became a parent and then realizing with that in that movie. So
yeah, but actually I really liked it. I agree with most of the comments that it's not really better than the original, but it's different enough that I think it's okay to have it. I'm kind of glad it exists in the world and that we have this different version. As far as the changes and stuff they made, I could go either way on whether that's good or bad. I don't really have an opinion on it. I just have to say I enjoyed it as a movie, and it really, really disturbed me in a different way than the original disturbed me. So for that reason, I give it credit.
So I'll ask you two questions. One, okay, so what did you think of John Lithgow and his tobacco? And two, which did you think was creepier, the Zelda in this movie or the Zelda in the original?
I think the Zelda in the original was far creepier than this one to me. This Zelda had actually more kind of jump scary.
Right,
stuff.
I was gonna say this one definitely had more of the jump scares, but I think I was gonna say the same thing. The original was definitely more creepy, but this one definitely had more of like jarring moments.
Yeah, I was a little disappointed in this Zelda because it wasn't as creepy as the original to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, you're looking at nostalgia. That thing creeped me out from when I was a teenager. So
yeah.
It's a different kind of, kind of leaves a scar on you. Whereas this one, I was kind of looking forward to it or kind of expecting it maybe.
Yeah, you now you're like bracing for it.
Right, yeah. I thought John Lithgow was great. He's not the original Judd, but he did a really good job, and I was really happy that he didn't try to do an impression of the original because that would have come off kind of hokey. I think he just did his own thing, and I loved him for it. I mean, he kind of disappeared in the role for me. I kind of forgot he was John Lithgow for a while.
Yeah, see, that's why. Remember when I reviewed it, I hesitantly said I liked him better, and I think it's because he took over the role without a characteristic to it.
Yeah, there was no gimmick to it. It was, and not faulting, what's his name that played?
Fred Gwynn. Yeah,
no
Gwynn. Fault at all.
Not fault at all to Fred Gwynn.
Yeah.
But, and even in the book, Judd is characterized as having this really thick Maine accent. So I understand completely why Fred Gwynn went that route with the character. But it was kind of refreshing to see John Lithgow's take where he wasn't relying. I'm not saying Fred Gwynn was relying on a gimmick, but he wasn't using a gimmick like that thick Maine accent to make the character come across. It was pure acting what he was doing.
Yeah,
and I thought it was great.
Right, that's why. So he really gave it he made it a role, and and I think there was more depth in his version.
A lot more depth. Yeah, I think he was too. Yeah, and I really felt like he cared for the girl in the movie. I thought he came across as he really cared for the family. Not that Fred Gwynn's Judd didn't do the same, but like you said, it's just there was some little more depth to it in this one, I think.
Yeah, and so that's why, really, in the end, you really can't compare because they're both, at some level, different Judds altogether.
Exactly, yeah.
But, obviously, with anything, you're going to have a comparison. But, yeah, so I think that's why I hesitantly said, John Lithgow's I like better because, of course, Fred Gwynn was such an iconic portrayal of it, But what does everyone remember about it more than anything was the "that is better," like the line and the accent. Whereas John Lithgow, you remember the entire performance as really strong. So, and I've always been a John Lithgow fan, but like you said, you almost forget it's him after a while. He gets so into it. So I'm glad you got to see that, though.
Yeah, I am too, and I liked how they subverted expectations for people who had seen the original. And I won't give anything away, but there's a couple key moments in the movie where you think you know what's going to happen based on the original, and they intentionally don't do it that way.
Yeah,
just to mess with your mind. I thought that was funny.
Yeah, and I just think I like the set pieces in this one a lot. I got more of an isolated feel a lot of spots, and I don't know. It's hard to take. These remakes are hard when the originals are not that old to begin with, and it's like, they're still semi, fresh in a lot of people's minds, but it's like, I thought, I think they can both exist, and I think they're both great films. I mean, And this one that we're already talking about having another sequel, as long as it's better than the original Pet Sematary 2. But
and I will say that I've never been a big Jason Clarke fan, mainly because the only thing I had ever seen him in was Terminator Genisys. And I did not see him as John Connor at all. Like, I did not like him at all in Terminator Genisys.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
when I found out he was the lead in this one, I was kind of turned off because I was like, I don't like that guy. I will have to say I've changed my mind. I thought he was fantastic in this. Like,
well, actually, I thought he was really good in Winchester. That was a good role for him too.
I did not. Oh yeah, I did see Winchester. Yeah, I totally forgot he was in it.
Yeah, he was really good in that too. But I know what you mean though. But he was great in this.
Yeah, I've totally turned my opinion of him around after seeing this because I thought he was fantastic in this movie. So so next up we have a new horror anthology. Oh, sorry, a new movie based on the horror anthology, the horror anthology XX, which you remember was that female directed horror anthology that was on Netflix. I think it's still on Netflix, right?
Yeah, and it's and this is actually going to be a series spun off from this. And what's great is they're going to continue the whole tradition because they're only hiring female screenwriters and directors, which is going to be really, really great to see. For those who haven't seen XX, definitely go watch it. Especially while it's on there on a streaming service because it's a great anthology, and so now you're kind of getting more of that. I'm kind of glad, and it's nice that they did it in a different route. They didn't just throw out XX2, It's like
that's cool.
Do it in another medium,
And I like how they're doing this with everything now. They're making everything into a series, which I'm like, all the horror you want to give me, just stick a big giant pipe in my house and just pump all the horror in. I'm fine with that. I love seeing these new announcements coming out with all these horror anthologies because I'm in heaven. I love these things growing up. In fact, not on the rundown, but do you remember a series called Monsters?
Yes.
That is on the Roku streaming channel for free. They have the 3 seasons of, I think it's 2 or 3 seasons of Monsters. I did not realize you could get that streaming. And I just stumbled across it one day on the Roku streaming channel. So if you ever want to see that whole horror anthology Monsters, that's where you can find it.
Yeah, I think Julie still has her Roku somewhere. I think it's so old it needs this massive update that we can't get to it. So I gotta see if I can fiddle with this thing to get it updated.
Yeah, you can watch it online too. They have a Roku Now streaming site too.
Oh, okay.
You can watch it. Yeah. Next up, Get Out Pop. Vinyl's coming. I just totally messed up that
I know
emphasis.
you shouted the begin thing because I was trying to write it as it is, because pop vinyl, the pop has an exclamation point to it.
So what I meant to say was Get Out, the movie. Pop vinyls are coming.
Yes.
2 versions. This is why we have editing, folks. 2 versions of Chris, one with him in the chair and one bloody and ready to fight.
Yeah, it's cool. He's standing up and he's bloody and and his eyebrows are now angered. And it's kind of funny because Julie looked at it quick and she didn't realize one was in a chair. She goes, "Wait, there's 2 versions. One he's happy, one he's angry." He said, "No, one he's in the chair."
I don't think he's happy in the chair.
No, he's not happy in the chair either. But he's this, it's cartoonish. So it's like, if you look quickly, you can't tell the difference. But no, so then I explained it was kind of funny. It was, but those look really cool. I'm definitely gonna pick those up.
Yeah, and speaking of more pop vinyl news, we have a deluxe Elvira Funko Pop releasing in September that's exclusive to Hot Topic.
Have you seen this yet?
I have not seen it, but it may be the only thing that will get me to go in a Hot Topic.
Right? I swear, that's what I said. That was the first thing I said. I said, "Oh, great." I said, "I want to get this, but now I got to go into a Hot Topic." She's lounging on the couch. It's really cool.
All right, I'm going to go look this up right now because I want my reaction to this.
Yeah, we'll get Tim's reaction live
reaction.
Yeah. And it's so it is kind of, I like when pop vinyls do these kind of iconic people like the Alfred Hitchcock one I like, and
that is super cool.
Isn't that great?
It's really super cool. Yeah.
That's Hot Topic worthy, I think.
That would be worth me going into a Hot Topic. For
Good news, it might be in the front, so you may not have to go in deep to the store.
I'm gonna wear a hoodie. I'm just kidding. I don't have anything against Hot Topic. I just think it's funny that I just feel like a 44-year-old man going into a Hot Topic's weird.
I always felt. I remember when they first came out, I didn't feel so bad because I was younger, but now I feel really like I'm being judged or something.
Yeah, I mean, Brian and I got kicked out of the front of a Forever 21, so we know the feeling,
And the only reason we lingered in there so long is because we were trying to order our Child's Play box sets. We didn't order it fast enough, so then we got told to leave. But
in New York, where everybody's anonymous, Brian
Right.
and I stuck out so much they had to take us out of the display of a Forever 21 because we were impacting customer traffic.
yeah, we stalled their whole sales pitch.
Oh my
I guess,
god! Yeah. All right, so we have speaking of anthology series, keep coming, folks. A new anthology series from Netflix is coming called Ghost Stories. It's made up of 4 short.
Sorry, that's 4 spelled wrong.
Yeah.
it auto-corrected.
Made up of 4 short horror films that will be thematically connected to each other and culminate in the finale. That sounds cool. Now, is this related to the movie Ghost Stories? In any
No,
way?
I don't think it. I think it just shares the name,
Okay.
as far as I know. I mean, I could be wrong. The article I read had a blurb on it, so I only read the blurb. But the vibe I'm getting from it's going to kind of be like a smaller version of that. I guess with that Blumhouse series that's on Hulu, but without. I guess that doesn't really thematically connect, other than the actually that it's a holiday a month, right? I guess.
Yeah, I don't think they have any relation to each other,
Right.
per se.
So I guess this is a little bit more connected, I guess.
Yeah.
So.
And now my idea of a trick-or-treat themed house
Yes.
for this Halloween has gotten even easier because we have more Sam, or if you're a Kim and Ket fan, Burp Smap, Halloween decorations coming. We have a 44-inch inflatable Sam string lights, a 19.75 inch, that's very particular.
That's what they wrote.
Sam candy bowl greeter, a 3.5-foot hanging Sam decoration, and a 16-inch light-up statue.
All will be at Tim's house beginning October 1st.
Yeah, come to my house this year. I really do hope I'm going to have time to even decorate for Halloween this year with all the wedding stuff going on. But
maybe, well, that's why you go lazy with this. Just buy everything trick-or-treat and just throw it all together really quickly in a night.
Yeah, and I need to get some of those ghosts that they made at the beginning of Halloween, at the beginning of Trick or Treat, where they had the ghost on the cross things. You know what I mean?
Those are easy. Those are easy.
Yeah, you just take a cross 2x4s and hang sheets off of it. So, next up, we have Guillermo del Toro will be honored with a Hollywood Walk of Fame star Tuesday, August 6th, which was yesterday.
Yeah, well, so originally we were going to say tomorrow based on our usual Monday recording schedule, but now it's yesterday. And by the time you're getting it, it passed anyway. So I'm sure you can find footage on YouTube or something.
Yeah, so he was honored. Good for him.
Yeah, well deserved.
Yeah. This next one, Brian made me watch this right before we started recording, and I was just completely blown away. This is the Haunt trailer. The movie is called Haunt. It's Eli Roth produced. It's by the writers of A Quiet Place, and this looks like a Tim and Brian movie if I ever saw one.
Oh,
you know, we're suckers for like Hell House LLC, The House is an October Built. Any horror movie centering around an actual haunt, we are in. This is total focused on a haunt. I don't know what it's about other than there's teenagers trapped in a haunt and people are killing them. That's good enough for me.
That's basically the plot that I got out of it, and that's all I care about.
That was funny. This next one I read is U.S. House coming to Halloween Horror Nights. Us House is coming to Halloween
I
Horror
even
Nights.
made it capital for you. Because I didn't want you to write like Us House, like us, like ours. What did you mean?
No, so Halloween Horror Nights is getting an Us House, which I guess would be really cool and pretty easy to pull off, I guess, because you just have to put the weird masks on. Some of the people don't even have to wear a mask, I guess. They just wear them.
Well, I mean, if I was in charge of this house, you saw it already, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you've seen it. Okay, so, I would start it with, like, the front of it being, like, the Santa Cruz boardwalk, having you walk in.
Right.
And now I'm going by, like, the way we saw it. Santa Cruz boardwalking in, going through the House of Mirrors, going down the stairs, getting a little of that, then appearing maybe upstairs and, going back and forth a little bit. Kind of like the way they did the Stranger Things house, where they kind of almost, like, did it by the plot of the movie.
Yeah.
Like that, and I'd literally have you walk through the movie, but just with some good scares in there.
Yeah, I think it would work.
Because I mean, really, what else are you gonna do? I mean, if you see, unfortunately, this is one of those properties that if you don't kind of go that way, it's gonna get heavily criticized. I bet. That's why like the Happy Death Day house worked great in Blumhouse, but the Purge one not so much, because really, what are you gonna do with the Purge? Remember, there was like that half and half where the first part of the house was amazing. because it was just represented so well, and the second half was, You know,
Well, you've got to have some kind of narrative for people that aren't familiar with the movie that they can actually follow what's
Right.
going on. And
Right.
I think that was the problem with the Purge House is there was no story. It was just random Purge stuff thrown in there.
Yeah.
Whereas the Happy Death Day house, there was kind of a narrative because you were repeating rooms and stuff. So yeah, you would definitely have to do this in kind of a narrative style, and because otherwise you have people jumping out, you're not going to know what in the world's going on. Like, what is this?
Right.
So you have to kind of, I think that's a perfect way to do it. Start with the boardwalk and kind of go through. Yeah.
Yeah, just get you right through, like you're walking through and you're part of the movie, and I think that's the best way to do that.
Yeah. So next up, it's almost downright eerie at this point, Brian.
Yeah.
How we'll talk about something on the show and then it will materialize in the real world.
Yeah.
Sometimes like within a week or two of us releasing the show. It makes me think that people are stealing our ideas.
Yeah, now granted, we were a little slightly off on this one because this one is based on the new show, not as much as the original movie, but still, we did say that there should be a creep show house at Halloween Horror Nights.
And we're getting it. We're getting a creep show maze coming to Halloween Horror Nights in Hollywood. Granted, like Brian said, it's based off the new show, not the old movie, but still, how cool is that?
Yeah, it really is going to be cool because the creep is going to be featured in it. They said, and see, there's a chance where they have some good creativity because people are not going to be as familiar yet with the new storyline. So it literally could be kind of like almost some original aspects to it, just in the same vein as the series that's on there. So it just may be, they may be specified because it may feature the new look of the creep rather than the older look. So that may be where the new version comes in. But either way, that's great. And actually, I didn't have. Oh, sorry. What were you gonna?
I was just saying, or as I call it, the Crypt Keeper.
Oh, the Crypt Keeper. Yeah, it could be the Crypt Keeper. We don't know yet for sure who's going to be there. But,
that was a terrible faux pas.
Anyway. Oh my God, Tim, you're beating yourself up over this one.
I can't let it go. I confused the Crypt Keeper with the creep. That's terrible.
It's
what
okay.
kind of
John
horror
Cassio
fan
won't
am I?
mind.
Oh my God.
We with all the mistakes we've made on this show in the past, that's probably such a minor one in comparison. But I did want to. I didn't put this on the rundown. I forgot to, but just briefly, quick. I was a little off when I had predicted that the I guess Universal new park was going to be Epic Worlds. It's Epic Universe is what it's called. And I was off. I don't think there's going to be a Jurassic World section in it. I think that's going to stay where on Islands of Adventure they're just going to modernize that to Jurassic World, which I always thought was kind of odd when they just just doing some refurbs in that area and going to add the roller coaster. Why they're going to add another section. But I think the lands are going to be obviously the Universal Monsters is a big rumor, the Nintendo How to Train Your Dragon, and the other big one is they're still saying it's going to be the Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. And if you listen to the latest episode of Coaster Radio, they're kind of questioning that decision, and I do too, because it's like, why? I get wanting to spread Harry Potter into 3 parks as a money making perspective, but thematically it makes no sense why you're going to have that there. If there's no, like, it made perfect sense that Hogsmeade was one spot. Diagon Alley was in the other, and they transferred you to the 2 parks. Since the park is so far away, they're not going to really be able to thematically transport you there. So it literally is just, to me, like a way to throw Harry Potter into another park.
But it is a prequel, so it doesn't take place in the same timeline. I guess you could justify it that way.
I guess. Well, you know what? Since they did leak out such small details about this. Literally, as EB said, they let out the name in a blurry photo. We don't know the scope of this park. This could say, the whole theme of this park could say, you're trapped in another time, another place, where only imagination, some kind of fanciful slogan that explains it all. Like we said, this is all speculation. Although the funny thing is, I don't know if you noticed if you look at the image I'm talking about, where they show the map of this park, you kind of can make out where it looks like the Universal Monster section would be. But what's weird is there's a giant amphitheater right next to it that looks like this mega theater that some people are rumoring that they may bring back the Beetlejuice show. And apparently, I didn't know this, they said there was at one time a Creature from the Black Lagoon theater show. Did you know that?
I did not know that, but I did read another article saying they think there's going to be a water ride at the Universal Monsters thing featured that's going to be Creature from the Black Lagoon themed.
Oh,
That's a direct ripoff of my idea. I'm telling you guys. If that
and
thing,
they were, yeah,
oh my god,
there were insiders in there.
I'm gonna
judging
be
your
pissed.
thing.
I'm gonna be pissed if that's a creature.
No, don't be pissed until they don't promise us all the things we talked about last episode.
They're gonna steal my idea, and I'm not gonna get anything from it. I'm still gonna be paying full price to get in that freaking.
No, because we're gonna send them the video I have and the audio episode of Coaster Radio where we had theme park, and you tell me that this thing was not planned that many years ago. I'm sorry, that would have been popped into Hollywood many years ago, or it would have replaced Jaws before. So this is a new idea that they came up with right after the Dollywood meetup.
Yeah. Oh my
Coaster
gosh.
Radio.
That's funny. Yeah, I cannot wait for that new land though. It'd be good for Universal, man. The battle between them and Disney is just like, oh man, we're the winners in all this. So
we are. Wouldn't it be funny if the rumor we traced the rumor back to our last episode when we were saying about your ride?
Yeah, I know.
And it's not really.
There
happening,
is a small chance I'm going back to Universal early next year.
Oh, nice.
So so I'm looking forward to that. I would get to ride Hagrid's coaster if it's up, if it's not broken.
But I heard you have to repeat the entire ride name in order to ride it.
Well, I can't do that. I don't know what.
I don't know. It's Hagrid's Mythical Creatures Magical Motorbike. I don't know.
Hagrid's Magical Motor Monster Bike. I don't know. Yeah.
Oh, you shouldn't have said that. Okay. Yeah.
All right. So Ronda Rousey is starring in a movie about killer tables called Tables.
Yes. And there is a trailer for this.
Oh my god.
This looks like it makes the sci-fi movies look good. I actually went to one of my friend Dom, who's a big wrestling fan and expert, and I said, is this thing real? And he says, well, they are doing some projects, and Ronda Rousey kind of left the WWE for some developmental stuff. She's taking some time off after WrestleMania. Cody, I know, is a wrestling fan, so maybe she knows a little more about this too, but this trailer is basically, so I don't know if you know the history of when, the Dudley Boys with the Devon, get the table, when they would smash the table. So apparently the premise of this is, I guess Ronda Rousey has some kind of like vacation home that Devon comes to visit with some friends. And all the tables that he's broken in his career now come back to go after him.
Oh my god, that sounds horrible.
Yeah, and basically the trailer is hilarious. So it basically has them going after these killer tables. In fact, at the end is like, the end of the trailer shows this massive 800-foot table that's about to crush Ronda. This thing is it's hilarious. And there's even a little quick cameo by I'm gonna butcher her real name here, Saraya Beavis, which of course is known as everyone knows.
Shut
as
up,
Paige.
Beavis.
Yeah, no, not that Beavis, not that. But of course, the wrestler Paige, which was in that movie, Fighting with My Family, was her story. But I kind of like Paige, so it's kind of cool that she's in there. But you got to see this trailer. It's pretty funny. Bloody Disgusting actually is where I saw the share of it, and we shared it on our Twitter. And I'm just like, wow, this thing is really happening. And it's funny because it's RondaRousey.com is where the trailer is housed from. So it's really, yeah.
Oh. Well, speaking of direct to video,
yeah. Oh, I don't think this will even go direct to. This is like direct to. I don't know. Direct to your phone. I don't know what this is. Yeah.
So we got a new. I guess this is a documentary premiering in October on the Monster Channel. What is the Monster Channel? I didn't know about this.
I at one point I think FiOS had it, but it may be available on Pluto TV. Don't quote me or hold me to that. I have to check. It may be on Pluto, the TV that's that free service where they have a bunch of channels.
Yeah,
they may have the Monster Channel in there. If not, I will get back to you. I will look to see what cable services offer that. Civil Gore will get back to you on this one.
So this is a direct to video. It's a straight to video horror of the 90s documentary featuring interviews with Clint Howard, Lloyd Kaufman from Troma, of course, Jeff Burr from Puppet Master 4 and 5, Kevin Tunney, Witchboard 2, Bobby Ray Schaefer from Psycho Cop Returns, Jim Wynorski, Hard to Die, and almost 24 others, industry regulars who made an impact in the 90s. That sounds cool. I'd love to see that.
Yeah, So this one I'm hoping we can grab. I think I saw it say it was gonna it was gonna be on the Monster Channel, but it's gonna be available somewhere else actually. But so I'm looking at it. The Monster Channel is... Yeah, no, I can't... It looks like it might be available as some sort of streaming thing, too. It might be on Roku also, Tim. You may want to check your Roku.
Okay, yeah. So, yeah, just look for it on the Monster Channel in October. We'll try to track that down as it gets closer.
Oh, it's on... Okay, so it's on Fire Stick also. Oh, and it looks like there's also available on Apple...
Oh, so it's
Android.
pretty much everywhere.
So, yeah, so this will be able to be found. So, okay, not too bad.
All right, next up, that Cameo service, which you can pay a certain fee and the celebrities will record a brief message for you, like for birthdays and stuff, kind of a cool little gift. David Howard Thornton is now on Cameo for $50. He'll record you a message. That's pretty cool.
Yes. Yeah, and he's got a cool little message that previews it. So he does he goes a tip, he has a little hat on in there. So it's, yeah. And so that's, especially for all you Terrifier fans out there, you want a little extra David Howard Thornton. And by the way, once again, just congratulations on them. Their campaign finished and it was something like, I think their goal was $50,000. It made $400,000, or some crazy amount. It was amount, including Civil Gore's modest donation in there, because as we know, podcasting does not make money; it eats it.
Yes.
But we still felt we had to do our part, so we did donate something, and I think the one we did is our name will be in the credits, so Civil Gore will be officially part of Terrifier 2, which is awesome.
That's awesome. All right, Brian. I guess last up in our first shop is my GenCon report. So
I'm gonna sit back here, just relax. Hold on.
Yeah, crack
your
beer.
Feet up, and listen here to Tim's as he regales his tales of Gen Con.
Yeah, so bear with me on the horror front, because I've already talked mostly about the one horror game that I played at Gen Con, which was of course Horrified. So let me set things up by saying we were there from Thursday through Sunday, all 4 days of the con. It's a massive, the biggest board game convention in the United States. So literally thousands of people descend on Indianapolis to go to this thing. And it's really remarkable. You have the centerpiece of the con is this humongous vendor hall, which will take you a full day to get through, really. And the vendor hall is basically all these different game publishers, game designers, all come and bring their latest and greatest board games there. So that's where you can go see games that have not been released in stores yet. Ravensburger, however you pronounce it, the publishers of Horrified were there. I immediately went to their booth Thursday. They were sold out of Horrified. Friday, they were sold out of Horrified. So I was like, please, how can I get my hands on this? Because this thing was the hit of the show, I think.
Wait, how'd they sell out so fast? You were there all the time.
I was there all the time, but we just didn't get over there to their booth until... they were selling out within 45 minutes of the vendor hall opening. So, yeah, I talked to the guy on Friday. And what I really wanted it was because they had an Invisible Man promo figure. So the monsters in the box are like primary colors, like red, yellow, blue, green, purple kind of thing. But the Invisible Man promo is translucent plastic, which is kind of cool, right? Because he's like purple in the box. So I really wanted that promo, and you could only get it if you bought Horrified at Gen Con. So I asked the guy on Friday, I was like, how can I get my hands on this? He said, you've got to be here Saturday morning when we open. And he said, that's the only way you're going to get it. And he said, I'm going to tell you, we sold out within 45 minutes. So unless you're here when we open, you're not getting one. So I was like, okay, so challenge accepted, right? So yeah, we got over there Saturday morning. What I didn't realize was they opened the door on the far end of the hall before they opened the door I was waiting at. Aww. So it was a full 8 minutes before they opened our door, and I figured it out. So we ran over there. By the time we get over there, the line is humongous. And so I asked the lady at the end of the line, she's like, we got in line. And the lady's like, oh, no, this isn't the end of the line. The end of the line is back there. And she points to the wall. And I keep walking down this wall, and I'm in the very back of this thing. Well, we're freaking out. I'm like, I'm not going to get this thing. Then I realized that what they were doing is they were lining people up against the wall, but then they were taking groups, like 4 or 5 at a time, and doing a line up near their booth. So the line wasn't like nearly as long as I thought it was.
Oh, okay.
So, good. Yeah, so I managed to sneak in there and get a copy. I got my Invisible Man promo. We got a chance to sit down and play it. It's amazing. It's, like I said, I talked about a lot last show, so listen to our last episode if you want to run down the rules and everything. But it's a ton of fun. It's going to be at Target everywhere. And
it's already at Target, actually. It was at my Target. I just didn't get over there to get it yet.
Okay,
but
cool.
It was in stock, so it's at most Targets now.
Yeah, this is not going to be a hard-to-find game. You're going to be able to find it. The only reason I wanted it at Gen Con was to get the Invisible Man promo. That's the only reason. Otherwise, I would have just waited.
So how did they sell that? Or they just had a limited amount per day they were going to sell, and that was it?
Yeah, they had a limited amount per day they were selling. They were also selling the Jaws game, which is really popular. I mean,
that's right.
That looks like a really good game. I did not get a chance to play that one, but that one was selling out. The 2 copies of the Disney game they do is called Villainous, where you play the Disney villain.
I've seen that. Yeah, I've seen that one.
They had that in the new expansion, so that was selling out. I mean, their booth was mobbed all weekend, so that was pretty cool. I also got a chance to see, but not play, the Abomination Heir of Frankenstein, which is a game in which you're competing against other players to create a monster from dead body parts. So that's really cool. You're each kind of your own Dr. Frankenstein competing to try to put together this body part. Game looks amazing.
That sounds cool.
It looks really, really cool. Again, I didn't get a chance to play it, but I did see it. I did not see it Terror Below anywhere at the con, which is odd because I saw it premiered at Origins, but I did not see them at Gen Con at all. There was a few other little horror games here and there, but I mean, the big story from Gen Con on the horror front was either Abomination or Horrified, and Horrified's a blast, so go pick it up at Target. Any people that like Universal Monsters will love this. Even the villagers in the game are named after actual characters in the Universal Monster movies. So they have Abbott and Costello's characters.
Oh, they were actually in there?
They're in there, yeah. They have Renfield from Dracula. They've got Elizabeth. They got all the villagers' characters are named after actual Universal characters. So that's really, that game oozes theme. Even when you open the box, the board game has printed on the back one of those warnings. Remember they put the warnings at the front of the movie?
Oh, yeah.
Like, what you are about to see may terrify you. They have that on the game board. It's really, really neat.
Nice. Yeah, I need to get that, and we need to play it when I come out I come out for the wedding. We need to play that.
Oh, yeah, we'll definitely play it. And it's hard. I tried it last night with just playing solo, because I can play solo because you're playing against the monster, so you can actually play it by yourself. And I played 2 characters against 3 monsters, and I got destroyed. And I play a lot of games, so it's tough. But the nice thing about
it's rolling, right? You can't. Sometimes you can't. You can do good, but you can't control like the randomness, right?
Right. Yeah. Sometimes, sometimes the monster actions are determined by cards. There's a card deck, so you flip over the card, and a monster may or may not move depending on what card you pick up. And the monsters have rules like they always move towards a villager or they always attack a hero. So they have certain rules that they have to abide by. There's some cases where you're just going to get unlucky and a villager is going to come out right next to a monster and then he's going to attack. And there's really nothing you can do about it. So that's kind of the thing you got to balance.
So it's like the casinos, right? The house always wins. The monsters always have the advantage there.
Yeah, but we won both games we played at Gen Con. But we played with 2 monsters, so it was a little easy. And that's the thing I love about it. You can tweak the game difficulty so easy just by adding or removing monsters. And each monster has a difficulty rating. So if you want it to be a little easier, you can play with Creature or Dracula. They're the easier monsters. If you want it harder, you can put in a harder monster like Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein. They just call him Frankenstein for short in this one. They don't go Frankenstein's monster. But yeah, so it's a blast for Universal horror fans, and I think it's a great family
considering half the people call him Frankenstein. Anyway,
I think they've given up at this point. Yeah. But yeah, a great family game. Great family game. Nice. Because it's very accessible. It's not hard to learn. But yeah, so that was pretty much it from the horror front. But they had some really cool games there. They have a USAopoly who is now called the OP. You remember USAopoly? They used to do like all the Monopoly.
I had a cousin actually worked for them, and I got a free. I remember she gave me a free the NASCAR version of it. There was like a special edition. I don't know what I did with that thing, but it was like the limited edition with all the gold pieces in it.
Yeah,
she used to get the free games. Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, they've branched out and they've changed their name to the OP. I think it's because they're getting away from like the Monopoly market and they're doing their own games now. Like they did the Harry Potter Hogwarts Battle, which is a fantastic game. They debuted a new Harry Potter game this year. They also debuted a new Toy Story game, which is kind of a reskin of the Harry Potter game, which looks really great for kids. But the big one is they had a Die Hard game.
Oh, wow.
And the Die Hard game, one person plays John McClane and the other players play the terrorists trying to stop him.
Oh, that's cool. I heard there's already a debate whether or not this is a Christmas game or not.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't get to play this, but man, they were advertising the heck out of this game. They had Nestle Crunch bars with the Die Hard logo on them that they were giving out. I mean, this thing, this was big. This was a big game at the convention, and I'm really excited to see how it plays because it looks really, really cool. And some of the miniatures and stuff there are just amazing because these people do these paint miniatures. Like I do that, but I'm not near on the talent level that these guys are. So there was plenty of like horrific looking miniatures and stuff you could walk around and see. We met some game designers that we've played their games. Got to meet the people that actually invented these games. It's insane.
Cool.
It's so cool. So yeah, we had a blast. We did get to play another IP that you'd be interested in, Brian. It's a game called Legendary, and it's a card game. And again, it's also co-op in which you're trying to beat the boss. You're working together to beat the boss. And they have a 007 version.
Oh,
and
nice.
we got to play this thing. It doesn't come out for another couple months in the U.S., so we got to play this before anybody else, and it was a blast. A lot of fun. It represents Bond in 4 different eras. So you have the Sean Connery, the Roger Moore, the Pierce Brosnan, and then the Daniel Craig.
See, I hope you were buddy-buddy with some of these people, because I think we need to create Civil Gore the game out there.
Oh, my God.
Little miniatures of us, and then like Cone, like we would you pull a card and he tells you enough information you can move forward or something.
That'd be great. So anyway, yeah, it was. I won't bore you guys to death with more non-horror talk, but it was a blast. We had a great time. If you ever get a chance, if you have any interest at all in board games, I highly recommend going to GenCon at least once. It's expensive. It's not something I think I could do every single year, although I have been the last 2 years. Probably next year is probably off the table, but it is a lot of fun.
Because we have New Jersey HorrorCon,
I've got to scale back next year, but it is a blast. So I would highly recommend it if you can get out there to Indy.
Okay, and I'm just saying, I've been patiently waiting for something for you to tell me about.
What
I've been waiting for this whole week. Okay. I purposely didn't want to ask you questions because I knew you were going to tell me on the show. So
Brian,
you know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking about. So Return to Dark Tower. So
yes.
If you guys remember the original Dark Tower game, it was a electronic tower that sat in the middle of this circular game board. And Brian, I guess you remember well, the Dark Tower had rotating cylinders inside, and they would spin to a certain icon, and then a light bulb in the tower would light it up. And that would correspond to different things that were going on in the game. And there was a keypad on it. You could punch in different actions you were doing, that kind of thing.
Like you could haggle. Like I remember you could haggle with the thing, and it would keep going around. And then if you got mad, it would go to Bazaar's closed, and it would have the image. But the images were so bright, I remember, and very elaborate. So it looked almost like it was like a screen showing it. It was really good.
So there's a company called Restoration Games. You may be familiar with them because they redid Fireball Island recently. And
Cone got that for $35. Did you hear that?
Yeah, I almost pulled the trigger on it, and I didn't, and it sold out before I could get it.
I know, and I meant to, and I forgot to go back on.
But Restoration Games takes older games, and then they recreate them. They actually typically make them a little more complex, because those games back then were made for kids, right? So they're pretty easy and simple. What they do is kind of recreate them for an adult audience. They rewrite the rules, they add stuff to it, they reformat everything, and they make it into a brand new game that still has the nostalgia of the original. So their big project after Fireball Island was a revamp of the old Dark Tower game. And we met the designer. We talked to him. We got a demo from one of the other publishers. I don't know. I think he's a designer as well. But so these guys flew in. They've got one single prototype of what the tower will do. This was a hand-wired, hand-constructed prototype of the tower.
I kind of saw an image of it. It looked like it was literally not even there was no skin on it or anything.
No, there was no skin on it.
Skeleton.
Yeah. I sent Brian a picture of it because I snuck a picture when the guy wasn't looking. But it was, they flew it in. It got stuck in the airport in New York overnight. So they missed their first demo.
Sorry, I tried to borrow it. No.
So we went over there Sunday, kind of a last-ditch effort. We asked the guy, like, is there any way we can see this thing? And he said, well, we're going to have one limited preview on Sunday. He said only 4 people can play it. He's like, I can't promise you a seat. We were like, no, that's fine. We just want to see the thing. We don't care about playing it. So we went over there. We found them. They were just in this little booth, non-advertised, at a little table in the event hall. And the guy brings out the board. The board was literally paper. Hand-drawn paper. This is how early a prototype this is.
Yeah, they're behind, I guess.
Yeah. And they had this tower in a locked metal box. Almost like it was like, it's like they were protecting it looked like one of those James Bond things that they're protecting the crown jewels in or something. And he opens it up, and he opens this thing up and pulls this prototype tower out. Brian, you're going to flip out about this thing. So it connects via Bluetooth to your phone.
I had a feeling that was going to be one of the steps they took. Just because modern technology,
right?
You're not going to get as simple as it used to be.
No, you're not going to have a keypad on the tower displaying digits and stuff. So there's going to be an app that you're going to run on your phone to help you play the game and interact with the tower. So all your actions and stuff you'll plug into your phone, and that will make the tower react. Now, instead of the screens being in the tower, since you now have a phone, you don't need screens in the tower anymore. They still kept the concept of the spinning floors, so you still get that, but they added 20 doors to the tower that are electromagnetically closed, and they can be released and opened by electromagnets in the tower. And what will happen is, during the game, you'll be asked to put crystals in the top of the tower. So there's an opening in the top of the tower you can dump crystals in. The crystals being little gem beads, tokens.
Yeah.
And so he was demonstrating this, like certain like negative effects. You have to put these plague crystals in the tower, and there's other things that puts good crystals in the tower. And then certain game effects, the tower will rotate around, and it will randomly open these doors and spit these plague crystals onto the game board. And you don't know where they're going to land.
That's cool.
And so he was showing us, and I was blown away. Like, you see this tower going and spinning around and like spitting these crystals out on the board. And he's like, okay, now that's plague. Now that's plague. Now that's plague. It was so cool. I don't know. This thing's probably going to cost $150 minimum.
I don't care. I will pre-order this thing the second this goes on sale.
It looks amazing. I cannot wait. It's so neat to see a game that early in development, but I was so happy we got that kind of exclusive little sneak peek into it, because not a lot of people got to see that.
Yeah, we got to get this guy on the show. I want to ask him some questions.
Oh my god.
You have his card, right?
I don't, but I can find him. I can track him down.
Yeah, because I think we need. I would love to have him on the show and just go over this. I'll tell you, it's so funny. This is now on my prepare Julie list. So I already told her this year that the one thing I'm going to get, it's something I've always wanted, and I'm going to get it. They have, it's released by that 1UP company, that does those mini arcade games that you'll see at
the Star Wars, yeah.
The Star Wars one.
Yeah.
It's $500, but it comes with Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi arcade games. I must have that. So there's not even a question. I know I could technically pre-order it now from GameStop, but I'm gonna wait to see, because sometimes Costco has it cheap. So I mean, it's just not. It's a matter of when I'm going to just go get it. It's not an if. It will get it. So I already prepared her for that. I said, by the way, I'm buying this, and then now I'm going to add Dark Tower whenever this comes out to the list. At least I'll tell her. I said, good thing is I probably won't have to buy it for like a year or so, but but I will buy this because I need to have this. And I still I keep monitoring eBay every so often. I see the original on sale.
Yeah.
For if it's still expensive, it's like $150, and they're like, tower works okay, and I'm like, well, to probably get a really good tower that works now. I mean, just for the battery section alone is probably rotted on 75% of these things.
Yeah.
But I'm keeping my eye open to ever get one. If I ever found a completely sealed one, God knows what I would actually be willing to spend on that to own that one.
Yeah, they had one at the game library we were at. We go to a game library in the evenings. We rented basically a 5-hour block, and then there's hundreds of games in this library.
And they actually had a working version of it?
I don't know if it was working. I just saw the box. I didn't open it, but I was like, holy crap, that's an original Dark Tower in box. So that was kind of neat to see. They also had a really cool Willow game I took a picture of and sent to Kevin. He was like, I want that. I was like, I can't buy it because it's not for sale. It's in the library. But it was really cool.
I saw that. Someone tweeted that or something, too.
Yeah.
I saw someone tweet that Willow game. Like it was one of the companies, I think, that was there. Because it's funny, because I think just because you were there, the Civil War account was getting a lot of, like, pop-up things from on Instagram and Twitter from the different, like
Ravensburger,
Ravensburger, whatever. That was popping up, so I think I followed them for us.
Cool, yeah. It was a lot of fun, and Return to Dark Tower is going to be incredible, so keep an eye out for it.
Yeah, that is number one on my list.
All right, guys, well, let's get to our Blu-ray releases for August 13th, 2019. This is our Discmemberment.
Wait, no, please, God, no, don't call up.
All right, Brian, short week this week. We have a couple of steelbooks from Shout Factory. They're releasing Forbidden World from 1982 and Galaxy of Terror from 1981. So if you'd like the steelbook copies of those will be available.
I didn't even get a guess this week, huh?
You did not get a guess because we just had such a short week.
Yeah.
But the first one up is The New Kids. This is a part of Mill Creek's Retro VHS line, which has kind of the Retro VHS looking covers. This one was released in 1985, directed by Friday the 13th's Sean S. Cunningham, starring Shannon Presby, Lori Loughlin, and James Spader.
Stacked.
I got to see this. This sounds incredible.
Yeah, and I'm hoping, not that I agree with what she did, but just from what I understand, if you believe those tabloids, like I think she's going to need some money, Lori Loughlin here.
Yeah.
Coming up.
This one sounds cool, though. A brother and sister arrive in a small town to help their relatives run an amusement park. And they find the town is terrorized by a local street gang.
Wait a minute, I think I've seen this. Now that I've seen this plot, I remember this maybe being on cable, I think.
Yeah, I don't know much about it, but there's a chance I've run across it on cable too at some point. So I just didn't recognize it.
Yeah, this has got HBO like circa 1986 all over it. I mean, really.
Next up is no special features on that one, by the way. I checked the special features on these, and they were either had not been announced yet, or I couldn't find them. So I'm not saying there's no special features, but I couldn't find them for this rundown for actually all these titles.
It's a donate.com link for Lori Loughlin.
Yeah,
I think
probably.
What's the special feature?
Next up is Nightwish from 1989 from Unearthed Films, directed by Bruce R. Cook, starring Brian Thompson, Jack Starrett, and Elizabeth Caton. I don't know.
Yeah, she was in Friday the 13th, Part 7.
Ah, okay. Professor and 4 graduate students journey to a crumbling mansion to investigate paranormal activity and must battle ghosts, aliens, and satanic entities.
The Holy Triumvirate.
Yeah, that's great. They get to battle everything.
Yeah,
so
nice.
That sounds cool too. I'd like to see both of these. I don't know if they're pick of the week material, but those sound interesting.
I want to say Nightwish I may have seen also, in all honesty, but we'll see.
The cover looked kind of familiar to me, so I may have as well. I got to look more into that one. And then we have a couple of big film collections, which again are Civil Gore predictions. Slaycations, yeah. We have the Saw 8 film collection, which I would recommend holding off on since we have another Saw movie coming.
Yeah, I mean, I have that, like, I bought that really cheap. It was, like, of all of them, but with the exception of Jigsaw, because when I bought it, that wasn't out yet, and it was, like, $7.99 at Best Buy on Blu-ray for all 7 Saw movies before that. Then I ended up buying Jigsaw. So yeah, you might as well just keep waiting because on this it seems like they're gonna just. I mean, if you can get them cheap, or if you don't already have them, I mean, maybe you want to jump on it, but we'll see.
And I have not seen the price on this one. This is released by Lionsgate, by the way, but it is a metal box set. So I don't know. I mean, I'm imagining that's going to add to the price.
Oh, you know what? I meant to say this earlier when we were talking about the Dark Tower game spinning out. It gave me an idea of a great game. Imagine a Phantasm game, but with the sphere in the center. And that spinning around, and based on your Bluetooth, things would pop out of the sphere. How cool would that be?
Oh, that would be cool. Yeah.
Now we just gave someone another idea they could steal from Civil Gore. But let's talk to your Dark Tower buddy and say, hey, we got an idea for you. You can probably get the Phantasm IP pretty
cheap
at a pretty
these
reasonable
days,
rate. Yeah.
And next up is another complete collection from Lionsgate. I think this is also like one of their metal box editions. This is Leprechaun, the complete movie collection, which is a lie because it does not include Leprechaun Returns.
So it's basically the same one I have.
It is. It's the same one you have. It's all the way up through Leprechaun Origins.
Yeah, so that's the one I have because I bought Leprechaun Returns separately.
Yeah.
And so that's but the one I have, it was good because I mean it also I think I got it really cheap when it came out, like something like $12.99, and it comes with all digital copies, which helped you out.
Yeah. So I don't think you're getting anything with these unless you. In other words, if you already own this, I don't think there's a reason to buy these at all.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
The only reason I would say to buy this if they excluded Leprechaun 4 in space.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
So, yeah. And that's it for Blu-ray releases this week. I don't know. Pick of the week, take your pick. I don't recommend either of the collections unless you don't already own these movies because they don't really add anything. So I would go with the Nightwish or the New Kids. Take your pick on which 80s movie you have not seen yet. And theaters, why am I emphasis on the wrong syllable today?
Yeah, I don't know. You're on a roll tonight with those.
In theaters this week, 47.
You almost did it again.
Theaters.
Yeah.
47 Meters Down, Uncaged. This is the follow-up to 47 Meters Down, which was not a bad movie.
No, actually, it's pretty good. I actually watched it after listening to Kim and Ket's portrayal of it, and then I listened to it, and it was actually kind of funny after knowing kind of what's going to happen. But I mean, really, how much can you not know what's going to happen? But yeah, it was still really good. It's actually a pretty decent shark movie there.
I liked it better than The Shallows, which is another shark movie.
Oh, that was the one with Blake Lively, right?
Yeah, that was the Blake Lively one.
Yeah, I like that one a little bit. I mean, that wasn't bad either.
It wasn't bad.
Yeah, you're right. I like this one better.
So 47 Meters Down, Uncaged is directed by Johannes Roberts, starring Nia Long, Sistine Rose Stallone, which, yes, is Sylvester Stallone's daughter, and John Corbett. 14 girls diving in a ruined underwater city quickly learned... What is this, Atlantis? Quickly learned they've entered the territory of the deadliest shark species in the claustrophobic labyrinth of submerged caves.
That's kind of cool because it gives kind of like an interesting... addition to be already usually being claustrophobic when you're underwater surrounded by sharks, but now you're in caves on top of it, so you really have no room to get through.
Yeah, I don't know. It looks interesting. I don't think I'm going to see it in the theaters, but I will definitely rent it when it comes out.
Or the theaters.
Or the theaters. Yeah.
Yeah. But what about the theaters?
The theaters.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's it for our dismemberment this week, guys. Pretty short. Yeah. So let's get right into our Slaycation. All right, Brian. So I was really weird how I split all this up. We not only split up the podcast, but I watched Phantasm 3 before vacation, and I watched 4 and 5 after vacation. So I'm all messed up. But so bear with me, guys, as I got to go through these because it kind of all blends together after a while.
It actually, in all honesty, I will say because I watched. I think I watched 3 and then a couple of days later watched 4 and 5 right in a row. So, yeah, and since I am not as familiar with the series as Timmy, I even have a harder time trying to, because when you watch them all together like that, but then like two of them that are separate, it's like you start to really get them a little confused. So, yeah, bear with us, basically.
Well, I mean, even fans of the series will tell you that it doesn't really make sense. Right. It's so dreamlike, and you don't know what's real and what's fantasy and what's in their minds and what's not. I mean, none of this really makes sense. So,
and wait till you get to the last one.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So we'll start things off with Phantasm III, Lord of the Dead from 1994, directed by Don Coscarelli, starring Reggie Bannister again as Reggie. A. Michael Baldwin returns as Mike, which was the big news for this sequel because he had been replaced in the previous one, as we talked about. Bill Thornberry returns as Jody. Gloria Lynn Henry as Rocky. Yo, you can do it, Rocky.
Not that Rocky.
You can do it, Rocky. Kevin Connors as why is my bird just Meredith so bad tonight? Jeez.
Yeah, you kind of sounded like a
what am I doing?
Ronald McDonald character version of Burgess.
What am I doing?
Like he'd be. Yeah.
Kevin Connors is Tim, There were some who called me
Hey,
Tim.
there's a Tim.
There's a
Oh,
Tim.
that could have helped in our original horror movie challenge.
I
Remember
know.
We needed a Tim or Brian.
Tim or Brian. Cindy Ambuel as Edna, John Davis Chandler as Henry, Brooks Gardner as Rufus, and of course Angus Scrimm as the tall man. Mike and Reggie.
Wait,
go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say before you go on your synopsis, I want to say two things about this real quick. First of all, when you think of Phantasm III, Lord of the Dead, do you think they should be like another shared universe of Phantasm III, Lord of the Dance, where you have Angus Scrimm come out and do like the steps? But and number two, now that I got that out of the way, number two is I just want to let you know the reason why these starrings are all over the place is because I like to finish with Angus Scrimm as the tall man, and they have him placed in the weirdest spots on IMDb.
Yeah.
On the list. So that's why you get some random characters before. Nothing tops that first one where I think you literally gave the entire cast.
You listed the waitress at the diner played by
waitress at the diner.
Waitress
I was cracking up. I was listening back to that episode and I was cracking up because you're like, boy, you listed everyone here, didn't you?
Craft services.
But anyway,
provided.
so sorry.
Mike and Reggie.
So sorry. Move on, Tim.
Mike and Reggie continue to hunt the mysterious tall man, discovering along the way that the invasion has already begun. So in this film, you basically start to learn something that Brian and I really didn't catch on to in the first two movies, and I had kind of forgotten about is
I hadn't seen him yet.
Yeah,
so.
I had forgotten about it from the sequels. Is now the tall man's really basically destroying towns that he goes through. So now you have a really important motive for Reggie and Mike to stop him versus just saying, okay, forget it. We're not going to chase him down anymore and maybe he'll leave us alone. Well, yeah, he might leave you alone, but he's still destroying America.
Well, and also you start to I see. Here's one where I'm not sure of where they discover this. If it's either this one or the fourth one, where they realize that he now has a grudge with them. He's not gonna just let them go.
Right? Yeah,
he's making this a side plot to also go get them. Like he's gonna get them whether or not he just wants to get them when he has the time, kind of a thing. Like there's definitely more of a motive to go after them. Like I think if they just decided to walk away, they can't anymore.
Right, yeah, he's determined to get Mike and convert him.
Yeah, especially Mike, yeah.
And I think he says that in one of the later movies. He kind of explains his motivation was like we deserve a toy. And basically Mike is his toy, and that's his little challenge that he does to amuse himself is he's going to eventually get Mike, kind of thing.
And we say he because it's really, and did you find out later on too? I mean, maybe jumping ahead, that there's not just one he.
No. So
it started as one he, but not all one he.
Right, yeah, it gets very crazy. But part 3, I'm going to go ahead and say it. I loved part 3. I absolutely love part 3. And there's people that hate part 3. And it's for very different reasons because it depends on what you want out of a Phantasm movie. Some fans did not like part 3 because it does stray away quite a bit from the kind of surrealism of the first two movies.
Right, it puts it more of a like this really is happening kind of vibe where it's not like it's very linear as opposed to where the first 1 and 2 kind of had like, you weren't sure what was real, what wasn't. This is kind of like all laid out right in a row. There's no, wait a minute, did that just happen? Oh no, he was imagined it kind of a thing. It's really there going on.
It's very action packed. It's a lot of comedy as well in this one. And like a lot of part 3s, it introduces all these crazy characters and kind of goes all over the place, which I kind of liked about it. I just loved how unique this one is in the series. Yeah.
I like that it had the villain from Adventures in Babysitting. The guy's like, the caterer? Like they had him. He was one of those, remember he was like the older guy out of the that was at Tim's house? Like that guy? It's
too bad that at some point he didn't say, nobody gets out of here without singing the blues. And then Reggie would have to get his guitar out and...
Yeah, well, that was the other guy. But they should have had that like callback in there.
Yeah. So Reggie and Mike are again, and the original Mike now, which is great that he returned. Michael Baldwin. Although he's kind of a weird. In all these sequels, it's kind of weird. Like he gets these like weird. He's not like the main focus. Reggie continues to be like the star of the movie. And Michael Baldwin is kind of relegated to these like flashback moments and stuff. He's in it, but he's like not fully in it like he was in the first film. Yeah, his adult roles aren't. But anyway, but
yeah, it's like a different. Yeah, he's definitely more of a supporting.
Yeah, and unlike 2, where Mike, played by the other guy, which I've already forgotten his name, sorry.
James LaGrosse.
James LaGrosse had a much more active role in part 2 as the character than A. Michael Baldwin does in the sequels. But you can forgive it because it's still Mike. It's the original Mike, so you kind of have to love it for that.
Right, yeah.
But yeah, so this gets crazy. I love the sequence where they meet Tim. Tim is a badass kid.
Yeah, like Home Alone vibe, totally.
Yeah, totally like a lethal Home Alone. And I absolutely loved that sequence where you're first introduced to Tim because he's got his house like triggered up into like this house of horrors almost. It almost reminded me of Tourist Trap, kind of booby traps and stuff. That's how you're introduced to him.
And what's great is he knows. He's smart enough to know, like, there's the tall man is there. He's like, he doesn't just like, most likely in these movies, a lot of times when these things are going on, the audience, sure, they know what's going on, but you'll come across these characters that know something's off, but they're not sure what it is, so they're all in this defense mode. But he's so aware of what's going on. Like, he knows there's this tall man out here, and he's destroying the towns, and he's got to be prepared at any moment.
Yes. We also meet another new character, Rocky, who is this African-American woman who's just another...
She's awesome.
She is so awesome. Another badass, great character. And they meet up with them, and then this movie's basically them fighting the tall man for the rest of the movie. So it's like I said, action-packed, a lot of comedy. Reggie's still creeping on the women he meets, which is a running theme throughout the series.
Our guy, one of our listeners, James, commented on that. I don't know if you saw on the Facebook. We were having a conversation back and forth. He goes, didn't he kind of move on too soon? And I'm like, well, yeah, but if you think about it, like in the second one, it's alchemy. I mean, it's like right in her name. She's gonna she basically is not real, so she tricks him.
Yeah.
Kind of a thing. So it's like, he really never gets, he's looking, but he kind of gets like, gets tricked into it in the second one. But by third, fourth, and fifth one, he's all about the ladies.
Yeah, he's sort of like the Tom Atkins, except he's not as good looking.
And he's not as successful.
But he's...
Tom Atkins, gets it. Yeah, he gets him in the end,
Yeah, Tom Atkins runs into him, and, they're in bed with him the next night. Like, Reggie's got to really work at it, and then he's usually still unsuccessful. Poor guy.
Maybe if Reggie grew the Tom Atkins mustache.
Maybe.
Although he didn't always have it, Tom Atkins.
Oh, it doesn't matter.
Maybe he just...
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just got the magic, the Tom Atkins man. Maybe it's his scent.
Oh, could be.
Maybe we need to find out what his scent is and then just bottle that.
Oh,
up
Tom Atkins, he smells like suntan lotion and expensive cologne.
You think? Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now,
with a hint of shirt.
I don't want to know what Reggie. Reggie probably smells like strawberry ice cream.
Yeah, no, but like that. But he probably, as much as I hate to say it because I love the character, it probably smells like that ice cream when it's been sitting around too long, and it gets that really the sweetness goes into this weird almost semi-sickening smell, but you're not completely horrified because it was ice cream.
Yeah, kind of like a little bit of a stale waffle cone dust.
Yeah, and of course there's a hint of burning embers because I don't know how many scenes he has where he's sitting next to a fire in this in this franchise.
He likes fires.
He does, and he's always sitting down on the left side of the fire with a guitar in hand. And so it's so he's probably got a little bit of let's see, over ice cream that's overstayed its welcome plus a hint of cedar embers. I think might be the perfect.
I think I just noticed. I think I noticed that he's never sat on the right side of a fire. He probably enters the room and goes, "Wait, that's my seat." Wait, what do you mean? We've never been in this house before, but.
Maybe he's got a Sheldon thing where he's got to be on the left side of the fireplace at all times. I don't know.
Yeah. God bless Reggie. Love him.
I love Reggie. He's great.
But yeah, so Phantasm III, I mean, it just ups the ante. The universe seems to be more vast because they really expand out. More balls.
More balls.
The more the sequels go, the more balls they bring out.
Yeah. And bigger. They get bigger.
Yeah.
Get bigger and more balls.
So I don't know. I just loved Phantasm III. I thought it was fun. It's probably the most supernatural-ish of the Phantasm sequels because it's really you're just getting these random characters that are helping them battle, and I love that part of it. Again, like I said, I looked at before I did my rankings, which I will reveal my rankings at the end, I always I will create my rankings. Those are locked. But then I like to go online and look at other people's rankings just to see if I'm anywhere in the ballpark of other people. Let me tell you guys, the Phantasm rankings are literally all over the map. I've seen people rate Ravager, which is 5, as number 1.
Whoa, really?
Yes. I mean, or 1 or 2. I've seen, like I was telling Brian before we started recording, I probably looked at 6 or 7 different Phantasm rankings, and every single one of them was different out of 5 films.
Wow. Well, you know why? I mean, it makes sense. If you look at this film, it's made up of the really good ones, like the first one for sure. You know, like that when you really get to the roots of this series, it's a lot of different things. So people can find different things to like about it. And as the sequels get on, sometimes it focuses on one or more of those elements. So that could be really why you may like one of the movies and someone else may say, oh, I don't like that, because maybe you weren't as stronger, you liked it, but you didn't like it as much as say this element. Like you said with this one, goes off as a lot of it of the supernatural element. Well, for people that didn't like the supernatural element, like maybe more of the what the hell kind of stuff going on and the dreamy stuff, well, they may not like this one because it doesn't have that.
Yeah, exactly.
So and but that's what makes, I think, this series so unique and so different, because, and yet what's amazing about it is if you watch it as a whole series, and this is one of these times I think where us watching it all at once benefits, because I really think if you can watch these all in a group, you really get the whole thing. You really get a good, strong vibe, and you see why certain movies go the way. So if you watch it as a continuous story, 3 fits in perfectly the way it's supposed to.
Yeah, and I read an article where they were talking about how the Phantasm franchise is more than the sum of its parts. And I think that's completely accurate. The franchise as a whole is just super good. And each movie has its strengths and weaknesses. You can't just pull out one and judge the whole franchise on it. But if you look at the whole story arc as a whole and everything about it as a whole, it really is a fantastic series.
Right, and 3 fits in perfectly. The way 3 goes fits in perfectly where it should be.
Yeah, and I think it's a testament to Don Coscarelli being aside from Ravager, which he did not direct. It's the only film he didn't direct.
He did write, though. He did write it, so.
It's his vision. It's just like the Child's Play series. You know, you have the same guy, like, creatively handling the whole franchise, keeps that consistency and makes it a successful franchise. Whereas, like Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street, you got all kinds of hands in the pot. So you're going to get...
Just look at Leprechaun.
Yeah, you're going to get all kinds of levels of quality. Whereas this one, you got one creative vision, and that does wonders for a franchise to have one person really helming up the creativity side of it. So, yeah.
And that's why the Hatchet franchise is the same thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Really worked
it's
well.
It's not rocket
Adam
science.
Green.
I mean...
Yeah, it really isn't. Stop giving 50 different people a vision in one franchise. That's tight. You want to reboot it years later? Hey, go. I get it.
Yeah.
But, like, if you're trying to do the same franchise and the same kind of timeline, so to speak, gotta keep it tight with the same people. I mean, and...
Well, the problem is you typically don't have somebody that's willing to keep that creative mindset going through an entire entire franchise. Like, there's not like one guy that loves Friday the 13th so much he's going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Usually these guys will do a movie or 2 and then they'll move on. It's rare that you come across these directors and writers that are like, this is their baby and they stick with it for years.
Yeah.
But let's go through some of the trivia here for Phantasm III. We had a little bit of terminology here in this one that we don't get again in the series, and we never got it before, in which the dwarves are referred to as lurkers and the spheres are referred to as sentinels, which I think is cool. They do act like sentinels.
Yeah.
I don't know where the lurkers comes from, but it's better than calling them Jawas, I guess. That's what they look like.
Well, they do kind of at some points, they're just kind of walking around.
Yeah.
They're just kind of lurking. They don't really do anything. Sometimes they attack when they feel like it looks like, but sometimes they're just kind of lurking around, I guess.
There's a great alternate ending that was filmed but not used, in which Reggie and Tim travel up to the wild regions of Alaska. If you remember, the tall man does not like cold. That's one of the mythology elements of the movie. Reggie digs a small hole in the ice, and Tim places a little case containing the tall man's gold sphere inside. Subsequently, Reggie puts a metal plaque over the hole and seals it up. The plaque reads, "Here lies the tall man, R.I.P." Why they want him to rest in peace after all this, I have no idea.
Yeah.
Well, I guess they do want him to rest in peace, but it seems kind of honorific for a guy that's been stalking them all this time.
It's also like a little bit of ironic too, because he's like he plays that Undertaker kind of. So.
And then I love this line. Reggie then says, "Now all we have to worry about is global warming," and they walk off.
See, I kind of like that, and he's just gonna give Reggie is like another one-liner.
Yeah,
like on the.
This is interesting. The house where Tim, who is played by Kevin Connors, lives is the same house from House 1985, the movie House.
That's interesting.
That's very interesting. And then the character of Rocky, played by Gloria Lynn Henry, stands out as the only main female character in the Phantasm movie series not to die or be a tall man's minion. No wonder Reggie's unlucky with the ladies. They either die or they're minions of the tall man.
That's true, yeah. And as we find out next time, it's like even their body parts he can't even enjoy.
That's true. All right, so this was followed up a full 4 years later in 1998 with Phantasm IV Oblivion, which they cleverly used the IV in Oblivion as the Roman numeral 4. Again directed by Don Coscarelli. Again starring A. Michael Baldwin as Mike, Reggie Bannister as Reggie, Bill Thornberry as Jody, Heidi Marnhout as Jennifer. Sure, we'll go with that. Bob Ivy as Demon Trooper, and Angus Scrimm as the tall man / what?
Oh.
Spoiler alert, Dr. Jebediah Morningside. We find out the original name of the tall man. And the synopsis for this one is Mike travels through time and dimensions to find the tall man's origins. So we definitely get some more origin story here. Mike is again kind of battling his transformation, if you will, into whatever the tall man transforms you into, a sphere or an alien or whatever he does. It's still unclear to me at this point after watching the series twice. And but he's still kind of fighting the tall man. And this one, Reggie, I believe this is the one where Reggie and Mike are kind of separated.
They're not together anymore in this. Really, they are kind of separate because I think they're together a couple of spots, but that's it, right? Because then Reggie's kind of off by himself.
Yeah, Reggie's kind of doing his all because Mike left him, literally hanging.
Right. Oh, right, that's right. He was trapped by the balls.
Yeah, he was trapped by the balls, and Mike literally left him. So Reggie's kind of just been on his own, doing his own thing, and he's kind of given up on the whole tall man thing. And Mike's still out there hunting him down because he has to save himself. He really has no choice.
Yeah, and now Jody's sphere is kind of not helping,
right?
I guess.
So it's kind of an odd movie in that you have the separation of the two main characters that you've kind of enjoyed seeing together up until this point. But this movie was kind of, and we'll get to this in the trivia, but I'll go ahead and mention it now, was Lord of the Dead, Phantasm III got some criticism for going too far in that action comedy direction. So Don Coscarelli wanted to bring it back more to the Phantasm 1 and 2 side of things. And that's why you get this one that's a lot more surreal and dreamlike again.
Yeah. But if you think about it, right? So you're watching, again, watch the progression of this franchise. After the third one, now you realize, all right, now, you know what? It's one of those, it's that moment in all. So if you look at it as one giant movie, let's say, right? It's that point in the movie where they realize, okay, you know what? We cannot stop this guy in this current state. We need to go back to the beginning and figure out what created him in the first place, and maybe then we can get a clue to stop them. And thank God this is a world where you can do that.
Right.
So that's kind of like, again, it's like where he does it. Now, I know he said, he based on that trivia, there was a reason he went back to it also, but I think it should have gone this way anyway, just for the fact is that's where the story needed to go.
Right. It does. You're right. It does feel like a segment of an actual long movie. If Phantasm was a 10-hour movie, this is the point.
10-hour miniseries epic.
Yeah, 10-hour miniseries. Like, this is the point where they would say, look, we've tried everything we can. We've fought this guy off 3 times. He can't be killed. We've got to find another way to kill him. And Mike even says, maybe we can go back to before a time when he was the tall man and stop him from becoming the tall man. Because we can't kill him.
Yeah, this is also nicknamed Phantasm Endgame, because no,
Yeah.
no. But yeah. So I mean, that's the reason why. When you said, when you mentioned that, it's you can't be judged as the sum of its part. It really is. You have to judge it as one. This is where I will reiterate it. I think this is one of the plus. One of those series that's a plus where you watch it all together. Like Hatchet was great to watch it all in a group because, for hell, the first 3 were basically one long movie. So this is kind of, if you think of it as one 5-part long movie, and if you think about it, adding them up, I mean, they're short. So, I mean, what is each one, an hour and a half? So you're looking at like 7.5 hours,
right,
essentially.
Yeah.
So it's like a long 7.5 hour movie. But, but if you look at it that way, this franchise progresses exactly the way it needs to and should.
Yeah. So Mike does find a way to get kind of back to the origins of the Tall Man, and that's where you learn about Dr. Jebediah Morningside, which is the Tall Man being friendly and handing out lemonade, which I loved this whole scene because you got to see Angus Scrimm probably how he is in real life, because I have always heard from people who met him at conventions and everything that he was the nicest guy you've ever run across.
I know, he looks so pleasant in this. Like, I wanted to join him for lemonade, but I couldn't.
That lemonade looked good, too. I was like, that's like a good picture of lemonade.
Yeah.
So you learn kind of how the Tall Man came to be and that kind of stuff. And this is the key to Mike figuring out how to defeat him. But what was neat about Phantasm IV is that Don Coscarelli dug up a lot of unused footage from the first Phantasm that I think they thought had been lost. And he managed to edit it into this movie. So you get these flashback sequences where, like, Reggie is thinking about, riding around in the ice cream truck, and Mike's thinking about their times together. And you're getting actual scenes that were filmed during the original Phantasm of them, obviously, in their much younger selves that you haven't seen before, which was really, really cool.
Yeah, I mean, it was like one of those breaks that just come along once in a lifetime. I mean, that you literally had all this footage that's never been seen that fits perfectly into a new movie. And it's like, wow, we can just, and like it, and it didn't look like, and it's funny when I first saw it, I'm like, oh, is this is actually from I don't remember this scene in the original movie because it's not.
It's not.
It was just, and I saw that in the trivia. I was like, wow, that is great that he was lucky enough to have this great unused footage that fit perfectly, and it wasn't just like thrown in there. It like made sense. Like it was used well.
Yeah, and I mean, granted, it's not like plot driving scenes.
Oh yeah, no.
It's definitely like flashback, kind of like superfluous stuff. But it was still really cool, especially if you're a fan of the series and you've kind of grown to love these characters of Reggie and Mike, to see like them in the old days and see footage you've never seen before. Like I can imagine when this came out, like hardcore original Phantasm fans were probably like beside themselves.
Yeah, because I mean, but yes, it was like those scenes probably could have been, done over, and it would have been fine, like from the side or like or digitally. But it was like the fact, but it was such a great use of it, because it was like, you didn't, there wasn't anything in there that was so ridiculously out of place, and they didn't just use it to use it,
Yeah. So it was
good.
Phantasm IV, I'll tell you how that falls in my rankings a little bit later on, but we'll go through some of the trivia here. In the original script, we already talked about, how this Phantasm IV came to be as a reaction from the critical reaction of Phantasm III. So I won't go over that again, but this one was really crazy because you might wonder, like, what happened to Tim from Phantasm III? Well, in the original script, Tim's character is eaten alive by dwarves at the beginning of the movie, which had to have been horrible because he's a kid.
Yeah.
But budget constraints prevented the scene from being filmed, so he's basically referenced his kill is basically off camera, which really sucked because that was a great character, and it really was a bummer, like, it's a one-liner that he died kind of thing.
Yeah.
That really sucked. So yeah, that's kind of a criticism of this film too, that you'll see come up quite a bit, is that, they basically blew off his character in Phantasm IV. This one's funny. Dan Coscarelli originally wanted to call this installment Phantasm Forever, PHOREVER, but ultimately rejected it because he thought it was too cute, which I have to agree.
Yeah,
that's
that would
too...
have kind of undermined kind of the series there.
Yeah, and this one I think you guys will probably have figured out. Actually, I'm thinking of another trivia question related to songs. This one, maybe not. There's a song played during the end credits called Have You Seen It? It was actually composed and performed by Reggie Bannister and his band. He has a real band, actually, under the name Reggie B. and the Yiz Wailin' Ya Doggies. It is included...
What a perfect Reggie band.
It is included in their 1996 album Fool's Paradise, which I'm going to have to now track down because I got to find that.
Yeah.
So now it was... Oh, gosh. I'm trying to do some math here. It was 18 years before we'll get another Phantasm installment. And that was the very recent 2016 Phantasm Ravager. Not officially called Phantasm V. I believe it's just Phantasm Ravager.
Right, yes. I think it has no 5 to it.
Directed by David Hartman. A. Michael Baldwin returns as Mike. Reggie Bannister returns as Reggie. Dawn Cody as Dawn/Jane. Gloria Lynn Henry as Rocky. Stephen Jutras as Chunk. I'm just having Goonies flashback. I'm sorry. Kathy Lester as the Lady in Lavender.
She returns. That's the original Lady in Lavender.
Bill Thornberry as Jody. Daniel Roebuck as Demeter. And Angus Scrimm as the Tall Man. It's the final installment of the long-running Phantasm series. And discussion points Brian put open to interpretation. Yeah.
And by the way, that synopsis, that was literally the official synopsis.
Yeah, the final installment.
You failed IMDb on that one.
Yeah, so this one was really weird seeing this one because this is the one I had not seen. I had watched everything up to this one prior when I got the box set, and I had saved this one intentionally for last because I knew we were going to do a Slaycation on the Tall Man, so I wanted to save one movie to be new to me. And it was really strange seeing the aging of the characters because obviously it's been, 18 years since I'd seen them in Oblivion. Yeah. So it was kind of weird to see Reggie older and Mike older. Kind of shocking, actually, especially when you're watching these back to back, I guess. And so this one is really strange because it does go back to kind of the surrealism of the first movie, but I think it even amps it up.
But it does it in a weird way where it's done in so since it's modern, it loses something. You know, it's like that I think that worked back when the films were grittier or something. I don't know, something about the way they're doing this doesn't have the same feeling that it did for the original one. And it's funny, I'll tell you, Bloody Disgusting did a great article I read today on this. They're explaining their thoughts on it, and you know, they had some quotes where they said it was filmed almost as if like a really bad student film.
Right. Yep.
And that's I was like, you know, that does make sense. Like, some of the visuals were just like, you know, the effects were not good in this, in some of them, and so but it works when you have a film from the 80s. But when you put it in that current time, and if you don't do it right, it just doesn't look right. And it did not look right. But
right, it's weird to say.
I tried to get past it. I tried to look past it to enjoy the movie. But...
Yeah, because it's weird to say that, you know, well, Ravager was low budget. But all these movies, for the most part, I think 3 probably maybe had the highest budget. All these movies, for the most part, were low budget, so you can't really use that. But like you said, when you're filming this thing in HD and whatever, it just doesn't look right when you don't have the budget. Like, you can tell, and I don't know how to put it into words. But you're exactly right. There was times when there were scenes, and I was like, that looks like they just filmed that in some park bench somewhere. Like, it just doesn't look professional.
Yeah, or they just put a red filter on it. But it looked fine when it was in the 80s and you put a red filter on it. But now when you do it now, you're just like, okay, someone's playing around with iMovie or something.
Exactly, you know? Yeah.
And I feel bad because some scenes were okay, but it was just I'm just like, oh, what's going on? It just doesn't look right. From 2016, this needs to be a little better if you're going to pull this kind of stuff off, you know?
Yeah, and there was the general plot of the movie was kind of depressing to me because you find out that Reggie is now in like a nursing home for I guess it's a psychiatric home, but he's older. He's got dementia, or at least according to Mike. As you find out at the start of the movie, you really don't know what's going on. You don't know if maybe the tall man is creating this reality around Mike and Reggie, or if it really is all in his mind. Has the whole franchise been in his mind? I don't know. We don't know. So
that's why I wrote that. And again, Bloody Disgusting's article goes over it, and they make their own opinion of it. And I think, I feel bad like quoting them on this one. So you may want to just read the article, but it does kind of it does one comparison that I like, where they compare the tall man and the trio as like, Batman and the Joker, kind of where like Batman needs the Joker, Joker needs Batman. And they said like the tall man needs the trio and the trio needs the tall man at the same time, which is why, this whole series could literally be really going on at the same time, even though you think it's in someone's mind. So it's really interesting. You got to read that, though. It's a really great article by them. Just Google Phantasm Ravager explained, and you'll see the Bloody Disgusting article. It's really good.
Yeah, and this movie is really, really divisive. There's people that love it because they think it's like a perfect wrap-up of the series, and they love that, they got to see Angus Scrimm one last time as a tall man before he passed. And then there's other people like me, and I think you, Brian, share the same opinion, where I felt this was like easily the weakest of the entire series.
It was, but it's funny. I will say I did like I think the ending was good. The ending wrapped it up nice, but even though it left it, and it left it, I left me with a good taste, even though overall I still think it was the weakest of the films. Does that make sense? It's like because it was like a nice wrap up for the characters, I guess, while being not the greatest of films. So, they accomplished, I guess, one thing out of it. Yeah,
that's true. I guess I was turned off by the low budget of it and kind of the depressing factor of, because I love Reggie to death, and just seeing him older and all that, it just was kind of depressing. But at the same time, it is a fitting conclusion to the series, so I can't fault it for that. In that respect, they wrapped it up good.
Right.
But you can definitely tell this was not directed by Don Coscarelli.
Oh yeah. You knew the characters were his, because they didn't. The characters stayed true, but the direction was. It was just, you could tell it was not. So it was something off the whole time.
Yeah,
and I guess that was the not that the guy did it. I don't blame the director necessarily for this. He's given a budget, and Don Coscarelli may just be way better at taking a small budget and making a great film.
Yeah.
Nah, it's not easy to do.
The other thing I didn't like about this movie is, even though Reggie is kind of the center point, Mike, basically all he does in this movie is sit on a park bench and talk to Reggie. Like, he doesn't really do anything in this movie, and the tall man doesn't really do anything in this movie. They're there for scenery, essentially, which kind of bummed me out. Like, Reggie's the only one that's actually doing anything. I don't know. It didn't quite, there was something off, like you said, like it didn't quite feel like a Phantasm movie to me. It just felt like a movie with Phantasm characters in it.
Right. And because, it's like, and the one thing I did notice is the balls, or the spheres, we'll say, they do way more damage in this than they've done in any other movie, I think. Because, I think within the first, 5 minutes, they kill 2 people and a horse.
Yeah.
So, it's like, it seems like the balls got, the spheres got this vengeance in this one. But I'm wondering if maybe they didn't have access to Angus Scrimm as much as they wanted.
I don't think they did.
He was getting old. He did die during the year of the release of this film. So it's like, I'm wondering how much he could actually do. And so they tried to work around that factor. I guess, I didn't watch any of the special features or read that booklet that came with our series, which I planned on doing. But I think I want to still revisit it and go back and watch some of the special features, because maybe that's revealed in there. But it definitely seems like they had very limited access to Angus Scrimm. I just got that feeling.
Yeah, and maybe it's, again, like I said, maybe it's just me just being bummed out by the whole thing of all the cast aging. And I knew Angus Scrimm had died, shortly. I think he died, even before this was released, maybe.
Yeah, because in the credits it had his dedicated to him.
And I don't know, the whole thing just bummed me out. This movie just bummed me out. I don't know why. Maybe, I don't know.
It's like there's a sadness to it, because I think you realize you're saying goodbye to these characters, and there is another Phantasm in kind of being touted around. I did see it. There is some kind of pre-production talks of it, but they basically everything I read says basically it will not feature these characters in any way.
So I don't know.
I mean, how could you? How could you replace the Tall Man with someone else? This is like a 100% clear reboot, start fresh. You're doing the whole thing over again, and you have a new Mike, new Reggie, new everybody. That's the only way I could deal with having a new Tall Man. I don't think you can put another Tall Man in there and just replace him.
Yeah, I agree. So, like I said, this to me was by far the weakest of the movies, but I will say it does wrap up the franchise and it gives kind of a nice ending to the story arc. So it's definitely worth watching for that alone. But the trivia here, Brian, kind of sums up exactly what I feel about this movie. This is according to the book Phantasm Exhumed. Filming on Phantasm Ravager first began in late 2008, where it was originally envisioned as a spin-off web series about Reggie. And this webisode footage was eventually expanded upon with new footage that featured appearances by the main cast members to become feature-length. So that's where you get kind of that feel that this is some low-budget web series type thing. I mean, that's a perfect explanation of why we feel that way.
Yeah. And when you take a movie and then you start throwing pieces together at it, it doesn't work. It's like you're instead of making a big fix, it's like all right, so you got a broken chair. Instead of just starting over and getting a new chair, you're just gonna kind of put a piece here or add an arm to it. At some point you have to decide you're either gonna use this or start fresh. But when you start piling stuff on to just stuff you have kind of lying around, I just never. Even the best editors in the game are gonna have trouble with that one.
Yeah, and I'm torn because Phantasm IV didn't really wrap up the series the way that this one did. So I'm kind of glad that this one exists, but from that perspective. But at the same time, I thought like the flashback footage from 4 was far more effective and emotional to the series than to see these guys aged out and about dead in real life.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm just torn between.
What
was that?
I don't know.
That's weird.
I thought that was on your end.
It sounded like it was on my end. I don't know. We had a weird mystery sound. It sounded like a spring breaking or something. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's actually. It almost sounded like the spring on our mic stands if it went.
Oh my god! That scared the crap out of me.
It did me too, and I was like, and then when you said that, you're like,
so live scares on the episode.
Yeah, maybe the Tall Man.
I'm not editing that out because that was creepy.
No, that's like our real. Whoa,
that was weird.
Maybe someone thought we made a mistake, and they're like, guys, did you forget the bow? But
yeah, so
but I will say it was like there was something really sad to me when the ending. I know on a much greater scale I'm gonna have this sadness. I think at the end of Rise of Skywalker, no matter what happens, because it's like okay, this. Granted, you never say never. Who knows? They say now this is the end of the Skywalker saga, but 15 years later they decide, you know what? Let's add some more. And you still get Rey and Kylo Ren, or so. Who knows? Whatever's gonna happen. But there's that sadness at the end when you realize you're not gonna really probably get any more of what you had, and it probably has a weird parallel to. I mean, not so much me in this because I pretty much other than the first one I had. I'd watched 2 through 5, currently now for the first time. So, but people that have grown with this franchise from the beginning, that must really hit hard, when they see wow, Reggie is an old guy now and he's, and his buddies are, it's like a sadness to it. Yeah. So it's hard.
I think that's why some people really like Ravager though, because they grew up with the series, they were super familiar with it, and so they see it as a nostalgic thing, and it was a wrap up for these characters, and I could see why you would love it from that standpoint. And granted, me and Brian are coming at it from more of a newer perspective, so we're kind of seeing it for the first time, and we've blown through this series recently, so we don't have that same attachment. So I can understand why we may not like it as much as somebody else. So.
I mean, but I didn't dislike it.
I didn't dislike it. No.
I definitely did not dislike it.
I mean, every film in this series is worth watching for sure.
Oh yeah, and it is such a great. I'm so glad I bought that collection even without seeing the others, with just seeing one, but I still bought the collection kind of in just good faith. And I'm glad I did because this is a great collection to have. I don't even know if it's for sale anymore. I wonder if you can still get it.
It is a great collection. I think there's some other. There's other collections being released or have been released, but this one's perfectly fine for me. I mean, it's got a lot of great features. It's got a whole feature disc at the end. I haven't watched yet.
Yeah,
so
yeah, I haven't watched that. It comes with the booklet.
Yeah, I have read the booklet. It's very entertaining too. By the way.
Wow. Okay, Tim. So. Wait a minute, is this the original one? Or is this the box set? So our collection is going for $199 now.
Seriously?
On Amazon.
Wow.
This is our set because look, it has the
right,
poster
yeah.
in it. It is now $100. What did we buy for like $39?
Yeah.
And there's only 9 left in stock, so it's selling.
Oh my god, I kind of want to sell mine now.
Oh, I don't. And it's funny, I have that other the remastered version of the first one too, the one that's $9.99. But yeah, so this series, Tim, you finally got one.
Yeah.
You got one that's like valuable.
Well, my Halloween box set's probably valuable too.
Oh, that's true, right. Well, though I still see that. Well, actually, I don't see the big one. I see the one that had a couple of less discs. Remember there were like 2?
Yeah.
There was like one with like 10 discs, one with what 12?
Yeah, I don't think you can get the one I've got anymore. The big one.
That's the one. We both have the big one.
The big
right?
one, yeah, not the one that was limited, yeah. And I don't see it for sale on Amazon at all.
Yeah, no, I have whatever the one that had the most discs in it. That's the one I had. And yeah, you're right. I don't see that at all.
So let's go through our rankings real quick, Brian. I don't know how in the world my ranking is going to compare to you, but I'm going to just go with it.
I think it's going to be pretty close, with the exception of probably maybe your favorite versus my favorite. I think that might be the difference.
All right, so number 1. Well, I guess we'll just go.
Oh, we're going to go to 5.
Let's go 5 to 1. Okay, my number 5 is Ravager.
Yeah. Yes, that is mine as well.
I thought that was the weakest of the movies, and like I said, these opinions are complete opinions, and if you go on the internet, everybody's got a different opinion on the Phantasm franchise, so I'm not even going to begin to say mine's right or yours is wrong.
Oh, yeah. Like we said, the way this series is, you can't say, no, this is right, this is wrong, because the way this is, if you put it as, like we said a million times, it's like each movie has its strengths and weaknesses on it, and different, if you look at, like, say the first one had like a little bit of everything in it, if you put and you spread that out over the movies, that's why some people like some versus others.
Yeah.
So.
My number 4, I waffled back and forth between 2 and 4.
That is exactly what I had.
I could not figure it out. I finally settled on 4 for the 4 slot, but I'm telling you, I think 2 and 4 are almost practically equal in my eyes.
That is exactly how I have it too. 4, I think just edges out. 2 is just edges out 4 just a little bit.
That was my opinion too. That's why I put 4 in my 4 slot. On any given day, you might be able to change my mind, but for some reason, and I think it was because, I don't know, maybe it might be just because I kind of prefer the more action-y versus the surreal Phantasm. I just kind of like the whole supernatural vibe, 2 guys going out killing stuff. I just like that. Yeah. Some people don't like that, but that's why 2 slightly edged out 4 for me. So I'm putting Oblivion in the 4 spot.
Yeah, that's where I have it. And then obviously we both have 3 and 2. And another reason I think 2 edges out is I like alchemy. But no, but all kidding aside, I think the same reason. I think this, because 2 kind of had that. I think 2 was such a good sequel to the first one too, so it gets that edge also.
Yeah.
So here's where I think we may differ based on what you've said, but I don't know for
the number 3 spot.
No, the number 3 we both had 2, right? And
yes, you're correct. Yeah, number 3, we had 2. Number 2 spot I had Phantasm 3.
Oh no, that's where I have it too. Okay, I thought you were going to put it at 1.
No,
because it was your favorite, but you said
no. It was my favorite of the sequels, but I really do love Phantasm 1 because, and I'm a purist. I have a really hard time putting a sequel over the original of any franchise.
I do
just
too.
have a hard time.
See, That's where, and plus, because I think you can't have the others without that first one, so that one automatically gets it. Like, its good points should almost be double the good points of the sequels.
Yeah. So I think we match then. So we're
We
going.
We actually match. We should almost do a
I know.
podcast. We have a lot of good same opinions here.
But for Civil War, North versus South, we agree too much. So
yeah, we
may
really
not
do.
work.
We got to start we might need to start. We might need to change the
So
title.
I guess we have an official Civil War ranking, since we agree of the Phantasm films are ranked in thus order: Phantasm, Phantasm III, Phantasm II, Phantasm IV, and Phantasm Ravager.
Yes.
So yeah.
It's funny. We almost go in exact order. It's just 3 was 3 and 2. If they were flopped the other way, we'd literally have it in order.
Yeah, you're right.
But
all right, guys. So let's get to our beer pairing. Of course, we're still using Phantasm that we've had for the past couple weeks because you can't beat that.
we can't change that. You can't.
You can't. So we're going with Phantasm from Acorn Brewery, Womble, Barnsley, from South Yorkshire, England.
Yes. I gotta message Matt and ask him if he knows where this place
Yeah.
is and if we're butchering
Probably.
his name.
Probably.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know what.
And give our answer.
We have to give our answer. We haven't given our answer yet, right?
No, we didn't give it. We kept it going, but we did say that Cody and John got their right answers.
Right.
But we didn't. We never gave their right answer.
So,
and I have a new one for this week because remember we kept the second one just because.
yeah,
of,
that's right. So last week we were asking for an actor or actress, and the answer was Sherry Moon Zombie. So congratulations, Cody and John, who got the correct answers there. Clue number 1, while I'm a full-grown adult, I played a baby more than once. Of course, she plays Baby in the Firefly family trilogy of Rob Zombie films. She was featured on the soundtrack for her first ever movie credit. She was featured on the House of a Thousand Corpses soundtrack. And then we also talked about her own personal clothing line that one of her co-stars wore in one of her films. Scout Taylor Compton's hoodie she wore in Halloween 2007 was from Sherry's Total Skull clothing line. So that's where those clues came
I
from.
thought that was a well-rounded trivia one. It was like tricky, but not, but
Doable,
easily gettable
yeah,
at the same
doable.
time. Yeah.
All right, now,
This next one is gonna be. I might be.
yeah, this one we're going to change it up a little bit. We're looking for a movie this time, which we don't do very often. But
Yeah.
clue.
Figured I'd have to change it up.
So we'll post these on social media, of course, after the episode airs, and but listen closely, just in case. Clue number 1. My main character's name shares the name of another popular franchise's main character. Clue number 2. While my title shares the name with 2 sequels and a remake, I had a different title originally. And clue number 3. My main character choreographed her own dance sequence.
Now, see that third one, I think, is the money clue.
Yeah.
Because, you're now you have something to narrow down. And I think that's what you always have to look for in these games. If I'm going to give a hint,
Right.
an extra hint out of it, you got to look. There's always one clue in there that I always make sure that kind of makes it stand out a little bit. And, kind of like because I don't want to make them impossible,
Right.
I mean,
Well, you
so
you also
if
have
you
to
guys
make
want
sure it
one-
applies to only one film or one actor or one actress or
Right.
whatever we're looking for. Because typically what you'll do is you'll have the first 2 clues could apply to multiple things. And then the
Right.
third one is the one that you nail down to really zero in on the answer. So, yeah.
right.
Yeah, good job. So, guys, try to figure that one out for next week. Next week, we're going to start on our Scream series, which I'm very much looking
Yes.
forward to. I have not
This'll
seen,
be
God,
fun.
I have not seen the Scream series in so long. It's going to be really, really fun to revisit those. I cannot wait. I've got all those on DVD somewhere, around here somewhere.
Yeah, I have that, and I had that good box set they came out with.
I do not have these on Blu-ray, but I've got them individually on DVD, so I'll have to upgrade them to Blu-ray at some point in time, I guess.
Yeah, I think I had them individually on DVD, and then I bought the box set on Blu-ray.
Yeah, so that's gonna be I think that's gonna be a great franchise to round out our summer SLAYCATION series. Lots of fun. And we're gonna be wrapping it up like right just in time for summer to end. I think this is gonna be perfect timing, even with all the travel and stuff. So that'll be great.
Yeah, and I think that now, did we decide how we're going to do this? Are we going to do the first one and then the sequels in the second one, or are we going to do 1 and 2 and then 3 and 4? Because 1 has a really good place in horror history if you think about it.
Yeah, I don't know. I think we should maybe that one probably deserves its own episode.
I kind of think it does, because I think the sequels, I mean, like anything, the sequels are, if you looked at it, if we broke it up into each an episode, could you see doing 2, 3, or 4 as its own episode?
No.
I really can't, but the one you can, because the one has a lot of, has a lot of effect on the way horror went for a while. So I'm kind of thinking we go back to our original, format, where we do the original in part 1, and then part 2 is the 3. I mean, so it's easy. It's only one extra film, so 3 films. I think that's the way I'm leaning.
Okay, yeah, I'm good with that. So next week we'll be back with Scream, the original Scream. And we'll kick it off from there. So, guys, definitely check us out on social media. We're on Twitter. We're on Instagram. We're on Facebook.
And soon a website.
We got Gmail. We're always look forward to you guys' letters on Gmail, and we'll respond back to you. And we always love hearing your feedback, your criticisms, whatever. Participating in reviews. We need iTunes reviews. We still want to do our contest. Yes. The only reason we haven't given away our prize for our contest is because we haven't gotten enough reviews from you guys to really make it worthwhile and make it competitive. So please,
so we need some more.
Some more iTunes reviews. Leave us a written review in iTunes so we can get your handle and everything, so we can call you out if you end up winning. So.
Yes. Oh, and I will say, just as a preview, we are working on a really, really fun, like, it kind of just popped into my head, and I kind of ran it by Tim, and we just ran with it. So we are already cultivating our October horror movie challenge, and I think this is going to be a really
I think it's going to be our best one yet. I really do.
Oh, I do too, because it's definitely done in a different style than most horror challenges are done, and I think this will be really fun, because it gives a lot of ways to, and you could actually kind of win this horror challenge.
Yeah,
there's actually going to be a way to win it. Yeah, that we're adding into it that I think is good. So I can already hear Cody. She's getting excited. I can tell prepping. All the way from Omaha. She's getting excited. And sorry, I think it's Omaha, right?
Yeah, somewhere out there. We have listeners, Brian, in 48 of the 50 states now. Something, really? Yeah.
Do you know the 2 states we don't?
I think it's Alaska and Hawaii, literally.
Well, you mentioned Alaska in this one, so maybe that'll spread.
Yeah. So, and we got.
And I've been to Hawaii, but it was before the podcast, so I didn't have any like paraphernalia.
Oh, and a shout out to our Australian listeners. They are our second biggest market for some reason, which is really weird to me.
Wow,
they're our second biggest market outside the U.S. is Australia. Maybe
we should do like an Australian horror month. Then.
Yeah, we probably should. I should probably stop trying to do Australian accents, too.
That's probably a good thing, because we don't want to lose our second
We've already
market.
lost Ireland, so...
Yeah, they're gone. But
all right, guys, so we'll see you back here next week.
Yes.
Take care. I'm out of ball puns to put at the end of the thing. I don't know.
Really?
Yeah.
That's not good.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I hit the sack.
Yeah. A little later, guys.